Good afternoon, everyone. This is Evangeline, waiting for you all to come in. We have some things that are brewing once again as it pertains to women and reasonable accommodations when they are pregnant at the MTA. Once again, we're finding that our employer doesn't respect the rights of women or our bodies or our reproductive rights. And the denial of reasonable accommodations is a real problem. And we need to talk about it, and we're going to do something about it. We'll be rallying very shortly. We'll come back to you with the date and time of when we're going to hold our rally around reasonable accommodations for pregnant women. So let's talk about it. So, in the MTA, you have varying unions, right? So you have TW Local 100, you have ATU 729 and 1056 that are being affected by the denial of reasonable accommodations for pregnant women right now. This is a huge problem because what happens when you deny pregnant women accommodations is that they eventually get injured in the performance of their job duties, trying to work as much as they can for as long as they can before they, ultimately injure themselves and go out on workers' compensation, or what transit suggests to them is that they go file for unemployment. And so this is a huge problem because they are ready for work. There's no issue with them when it comes to their being able to work, except that they just need to be accommodated. Now, reasonable accommodations for pregnant women are actually a law. It also is on the supervisor's exam. So anybody that's going to become a supervisor, you are asked the question about reasonable accommodation. Do you have to give it? And you do. And so the fact that the MTA still is refusing to give women reasonable accommodations, and so here's some of the things that they've been doing lately. So they are approving the accommodation. So this is in buses. This is solely happening in the Department of Buses. Now, in other areas, women are requesting accommodations in RTO in different places, but we're going to talk about the differences of when it comes to being accommodated. Now, we had a woman who lost her baby on the train tracks. I think it was back in 2020. When she lost her baby on the train tracks, what happened was I, along with a group of women, we went down to the Union Hall, we held a protest there, and we demanded to meet with the head of the Women's Committee, who at that time was LaTanya Chris. We also demanded to meet with the president of the union, but of course he didn't show up, as usual. So we made so much of a fuss that Sarah Feinberg agreed to meet with us about it. Through continual meetings, we got the young lady an attorney, and through various, channels of communication and advocacy, we were able to meet with Sarah Feinberg. Now, I believe we met with Sarah Feinberg because she's a woman. And so this made perfect sense, her being a mother and who had small children at the time, that she would take the meeting with us. So she took the meeting with us. That meeting led over to a few more meetings where we brokered a deal to ensure that women in RTO have reasonable accommodations. So whenever you see a woman who's pregnant doing light duty, restricted duty positions, that was done under Sarah Feinberg, and that was done under my leadership. And so I want you all, and another thing happened. When we got those accommodations, LaTanya Chris was removed as the head of the Women's Committee because she couldn't stop it from happening, right? There was a resounding on the executive board that women would never be able to meet all together and that they were not going to do anything about this, okay? As a matter of fact, the president of the union went in, instead of giving us all 140 positions to be made available to women if they were pregnant, only signed off on 4, when that was not the deal. The agreement was that all of those positions would be made available for light duty work because they now knew that women throwing switches and being restricted to the yard would cause irreparable harm. And that's what happened when the young lady lost her baby on the train tracks. Well, now at ATU 729, which we threatened before to come there and rally, and they took the woman off the bus immediately. Here we go again, them denying another pregnant woman a reasonable accommodation. At ATU 1056, they're also denying a pregnant woman a reasonable accommodation. At TWU Local 100 in buses, they are denying women accommodations. Now, we have an instance where they have approved the accommodation, and they're only approving the accommodations for 2 weeks. Okay? However, that is not how it works. Accommodations are given as you perform your job duties when you ask for it. Okay? And that's what they're not doing. They're not allowing women to do these assignments until it's time for them to go out. They're giving them 2 weeks, and then they're taking them out of the position. Okay? So one woman went, did her accommodation the right way, put in the paperwork the way you're supposed to, requested the accommodation, and now she's out, no work, being told to go and get unemployment. Oh, we're looking for something, we'll let you know, and she still has heard nothing. This is a problem, right? Now, the women's committees of ATU 1056 and 729, we work closely together. They've been able to do some phenomenal things in their departments as far as reasonable accommodation. However, over at Local 100, we have little Miss Giselle over there who does not know what to do. Okay? And this is what happens when you have leadership that puts women in power, right? Just as a placeholder. They really can't do nothing, but they put them there as a placeholder so that they can say, oh, we have a women's committee, this is who we have. However, they're ineffective and not able to deliver. Reasonable accommodations are to be given to women at a point of ask, and when your doctor says that you can only lift a certain amount or you can't be on the bus, you're supposed to be giving light duty work in order to fulfill the accommodation. And the MTA is not following through. Not only that, instead of removing and rescinding the accommodations that they gave in writing, what they're doing is making phone calls or using the union, right? They're using the union to violate the accommodation so that the MTA can say that they didn't do it. But we have an instance where a manager, okay, denies the woman the accommodation and she's taken out of her job. This is very important to understand. As women, you have rights. You have rights. And you have a right to be pregnant, and they cannot deny you accommodations when you are pregnant. Tomorrow, we're having our Women Uplifting Women Conference. This is how the whole organization came about in the first place. We handle a lot of different issues now, but originally we formed to protect the reproductive and human rights of women in the workplace. Because what we find is that the MTA, even though women are becoming the majority of the workforce, still does not want to deal with the fact that women have needs when they're pregnant. Not to mention, most women do not ask for an accommodation until they are further along in their pregnancy. They're usually about 7 months, what we see on average, when women start saying, I need to come off of my job, I can't do it anymore for safety reasons, right? And so that they don't go into labor while in the performance of their job duty or injure themselves. We work in safety-sensitive jobs. So once it's no longer safe to operate a bus or move a train or go down on tracks and do the different jobs that we do, or fix train cars, or whatever the work that these women are doing in their job, in their prospective job titles, it is very important that we understand that they are not asking for special favors, right? They're not even asking to not work. They're just asking for a simple accommodation. Some of it as much as extra bathroom breaks, more time to drink water, They may not be able to move as quickly west. I can't go to the train yard to get my train. I need to pick my train up off of the stand. We have switchmen that can bring the train into the station, right? These are all of the different issues that come around women being pregnant and needing a reasonable accommodation. Usually, they only need to be accommodated for about 2 months. 2 months. And the MTA is fighting that. So now they're giving the accommodation in writing, and then they're taking it back over the phone. Not in writing. They're not telling you, they're not putting anything in writing saying your accommodation has been rescinded or you're no longer approved, because they know it's a violation of the law. And it's very unfortunate that at this time in the MTA, we still don't have reasonable accommodation posters posted in every work area where people sign on for work, in every women's facility. There's no posting of who to contact or who to call or who's in charge. It's still like that right now. However, tomorrow at our Women's Uplifting Women Soft Power celebration, we will be giving you all of this information that you can take back to your work areas and to your prospective unions and give out to the membership at large. We need to start documenting this, because this is going to become legal. The last time we tried to challenge the MTA in court, what happened was the judge said that we couldn't bring a class action because each department had their own ways that they accommodated, and it wasn't just a flat blanket way to be accommodated across the board. I don't agree with that, because an accommodation is an accommodation. It comes from one office, right? It doesn't come from different offices. It's one reasonable accommodation office. So therefore, it should not be according to department. So that's my take on it. So we're preparing to challenge this, but we will be rallying all together. The women of ATU 1056, 729, and TW Local 100. We will be rallying. All of us who are affected by the policies of the MTA, we will be rallying around this, right? Now, these rallies that we have, these are not union events. They're not sanctioned by the union. Most likely the unions will not participate. However, the members, the people who work, the rank and file workers, we have a right to protest and demand that our human rights not be violated. We are protected under the Constitution. And what I'm finding too is that now, the more vocal we become, the more success and progress we make, we're now finding that they want to attack us and our right to assemble, our right to protest, and they cannot do that. And our freedom of speech. We have the right to protest anytime anything is unsafe. It is not political. Okay? We have the ability to rally and demand that our wombs be respected and honored. Pregnancy is not a disability. And there are laws that protect us. And the fact that the MTA, during Women's History Month, is refusing to accommodate is a problem. Also, on when they had MTA Appreciation Day, the president of the MTA was at a depot and was told what was going on, and he said absolutely nothing. He had nothing to say. The VP of buses, JP Patafia, spoke to him about it publicly, and nothing was done, showing you how our union no longer has power. When in the history of labor does the union speak about safety or the rights of women in the workplace that need to be honored and respected and nothing be done? Right? This is a problem. So I really hope that the women come out tomorrow. We have a lot of people that signed up. If you can't make it, some of the information, I'm sure that the women will bring it back to their work areas and give it to you and let you know. We have women now who have joined Women Uplifting Women from not all, but many of the city and state agencies, which is really, really important, because that means that our message is moving and it is carrying, and people are catching on that they have the right They have rights in the workplace that have to be respected. So thank you again for taking the time to listen to this. I'll see you all who are going to come out tomorrow on the 30th. We'll see you at 2 p.m. at the Women Uplifting Women's Brunch. Have a great day.